So this has kind of been an issue that I've been talking about in one of my geek groups on Facebook, where we're talking about sexism in the geek culture and in the gaming hobby and comics and all of the other things which comprise geek culture. And you know, the conversation eventually drifted on the sexism in comics that, you know, essentially people are upset about how sexist they are in DC and Marvel, etc. And they're talking about what we can do to change Marvel and DC so that way they can do the kind of content we want them to do. And I have to say this, and I know a lot of people are going to probably give me flack over it, but humor me for just a few minutes here. If you're going to expect Marvel and DC to change their business model, that's not going to happen. Clearly, they've created a business model that works best for them. And it's one where, while we may not like their content, they are pretty much the only game in town. And the problem is that as much as we can complain and gripe and whine and moan and mule and all of that other stuff, we're not going to make an effective change unless we do something that will get their attention. And what will get their attention? I've said this before, I will say this again, and I'm going to keep saying it until people get it through their thick skulls. What's going to change Marvel and DC is not people complaining, it's people actually doing something about it. Okay? If you don't like the way Marvel and DC are doing things, or Image, or Top Cow, or whatever comic book company there is, number one, don't give them your money. As long as you give them your money, you're you're stating that you approve of what they're doing. Now, granted, they make millions upon millions of dollars a year with their licensing, with royalties, etc. But another thing that you might want to consider, along with not giving them your money, is actually giving them some competition. Those of us who are artistically inclined, whether as writers or artists or illustrators or creators or what have you, this is an opportunity for us really to demonstrate how we want comics done. This is an opportunity for people to show the big companies that if you're not going to give us what we want, we're going to go to people that will. And this is actually, while it's a very difficult thing to do, it also is a very simple thing to do. Because instead of feeding the monster, if you really don't like the way Batman is portrayed, don't watch a Batman movie. Don't go to a Batman movie. Don't put money in their hands. Okay? Don't buy the DVD. Don't buy the comic books. Instead, create something better. Show them how it's done. This will do a couple of things. One, it will generate competition for Marvel and DC, which, if you think about it, they are deathly afraid of. Why do you think they keep buying out independent companies for some? Why do you think they keep doing things like that? They're not just doing that because they think it's a really nifty idea. They're doing it because they want competition to be gone. Okay? If we give them competition, we're telling them, you know what you're doing is not good enough if we want something better. Now, some of you will say, well, my artwork isn't good enough and my writing isn't good enough. The only way that you're going to improve your artwork and improve your writing is just to do it. And guess what? It's going to suck for a very long time. But as long as you are persistent, and as long as you are willing to take chances, and as long as you're willing to get things done, eventually people will see that you're professional enough to do the work. You know, it's one thing, you know, walking into a convention with a portfolio saying, these are some of the pages I've created, you know, these are some of the pinups I've done. It's another thing to go over to an editor and say, this is a comic book I did. You can find it online. You can also find the PDF file. Here's a hard copy for you to look at, you know, that sort of thing. What that tells the editor is that you're capable of doing the work. And if they see the kind of work that you're doing and they see that it's popular, guess what? You might get called and picked out to do something. Now, it's not a guarantee. It's not something that is, you know, obligatory by any stretch of the imagination. Sometimes you have to work long and hard to get any kind of recognition, to get any kind of respect, to get any kind of admiration of any sort, or even fans. You know, some folks, they put out a comic first thing and, oh, 100 people love their stuff. People like, you know, me, on the other hand, we have to work for each and every single little fan we got and every little cent we make. But the fact of the matter is, if you're putting out your content, people will want to see it and people will want to read it. Do it. Because as long as you're focused on trying to change them, you're not going to succeed because they're not going to change what works. You need to show them something better. Anyway, this is Dumark the Artist signing off. Geek-culture. Have a nice day.